Welcome back to Winners and Losers 1 and we're back in the Football Man Cave. Chris Hamill and I to discuss the weekend's biggest results, and we're starting with the talking point. Hamill, what is it, mate?
Shock horror, it's Manchester United. I actually can't wait for this. They lost 3-2 away at Brighton in an appalling manner, falling to 11th in the table after an increasingly uninspired performance at the Amex. It actually got progressively worse as the game went on, and I actually think the scoreline flattered Manchester United big time, but Joe's going to touch upon that in a second. Now, Mourinho has lost to the Seagulls, Bobby Seagulls, on both his visits to the South Coast, and since he took charge of United in 2016, only Chelsea have beaten the club more times with 4 victories. Tough times for your man Dave as well. Since the start of the World Cup, he's conceded 10 goals from 14 shots on target. Old Chris Packet wrists.
I mean, are we really blaming him?
No, probably not.
No.
Probably a bit harsh. The afternoon was typified, I would say, by and large, by the performance of Anthony Martial. Although he did start in the opening 5 minutes quite well.
He did, that
then
direct
just
run.
Fell off a cliff. In his 60 minutes on the pitch, he completed just 1 take-on, had 1 block shot and created 0 chances. Quite clearly did not want to be there. Pogba, also on relatively poor form, was dispossessed 5 times more than anyone else on the pitch, and his body language throughout large parts of the games screamed, "I am not happy" at Manchester United. Fair play to him for not trying to hide that whatsoever. The rest of the side equally as poor as well. Despite having 67% possession, United could only muster 3 shots on target. One of them was Pogba's late penalty. And this is what the Frenchman had to say after the game.
What happened today is that we lost. We lost, in the attitude that we had today is, I don't think we deserve to win. From the start of the game, you know those games are the hardest game to play. The attitude that we had is not like we wanted to beat them. They had more anger than us, and I think they show in the pitch. Then I put myself first, that my attitude wasn't right enough. We made the mistake that we shouldn't make, and you know when you lose 1-0, and it's okay, then 2-0, and then you come back to 2-1, you have hope. You can score again before the first half, and we concede the goal. Obviously, it's a hit for us. So in the first half, it was a hit. We were very disappointing, and we tried to push. We had the ball. We keep trying. Myself, like losing a lot of balls, but keep trying until that we scored the goal. But it was a bit too late. But I know myself that we cannot always play very, very good. But at least the attitude has to be right, and I think maybe we missed that today.
So we've heard from the World Cup winner, the former most expensive player in the world. Although Stevens had him on strings, his opposite number 6. What did you make of the game?
Where to start? This was probably the worst performance of the Jose Mourinho era, and we're now 3 years into his tenure. This was reminiscent of Olympiacos away under David Moyes. By far the worst United performance I've ever seen. This was up there. We were an absolute disgrace on the weekend. Disgusting. Those away travelling fans should be getting fully reimbursed for the utter shambles that was that performance. Let's start with the defence, because the players are terrible, the system's terrible, the coaching's even worse. Oh my God, our 2 central defenders. Wow, it's like watching them play on ice yesterday. They were horrendous. They can't pass the ball, they can't tackle, their positional sense is a mess. But arguably, our fullbacks are worse. Our fullbacks are disgustingly awful. Ashley Young at right back. He has no right to be there. Luke Shaw, I'm tired of giving him chances. He's just not good enough at this level. But for me, what's worse than our shambolic defence is our attack. You can forgive the defence, they're just not good enough players. They're just not good enough right now for Manchester United. But attacking-wise, we have more than enough talent to crush Brighton. More than enough talent to put out better performances than we are at the moment. But the system, the cohesion, the attitude isn't there. There's just nothing working for United. It's not like we were pounding on the door, driving Brighton back until we scored. We were creating nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's no midfield cohesion. Nobody knows where they're playing. There's no system. There's no attacking dynamism whatsoever.
What did you think to the double substitution at half-time? Because I didn't even know Pereira was playing. but it screamed of, I'm not entirely sure what to do. Let's just throw 2 attack-minded players on and see if we create more chances.
The biggest problem for United is we look at our best attacking.
Wasn't balanced,
when we
Fred
are
very isolated.
We look at our best attacking when we are lumping diagonal balls to Marouane Fellaini, and that is the most worrying sign. That is the most worrying sign. When we lump balls, we look okay, but that's not Manchester United. There's no attacking cohesion. You don't know where the goal's coming from. And this is a front line that includes Lukaku, Martial, Rashford, Mata, Alexis Sanchez. You don't ever think any of them's going to score goals. What is going on? I'm going to say it on camera now. It's time for Jose to go.
Oh, no, he didn't.
We have got to get rid of Jose Mourinho. It's not working. He has fully lost the dressing room. The dressing room is now against him.
Week 2.
Week 2 of the Premier League season, but season 3. And the worst thing we could have done is give Jose Mourinho a new contract in January. And what did we do? We gave him a new contract in January until 2020. Ed Woodward. Yes! But do the people on the streets of London think that Jose Mourinho has lost the dressing room? Well, we sent Olivia Dodd onto the streets to find out.
Probably, this is where all the Mancunian fans are from, right?
We're back on Oxford Street ahead of the new season to find out what the people are thinking about Jose Mourinho. Considering their defeat of the weekend, do you think Jose Mourinho should be sacked as Man United manager?
I just don't think he really fancies it anymore.
Some people have done a worse job than him at the club, so probably not. Like, he deserves more of a chance, I think, to be honest.
I think he should be sacked because he's overrated now.
It seems like the kiss of death being like the Man U coach, doesn't it?
I think Jose Mourinho is the greatest of all, one of the greatest of all time. So I think maybe it's the players who need to have a look at themselves. I think Jose is the main man.
I hate Mourinho.
Don't sit on the fence.
I reckon Man United will keep faith in him because I think it'll just cause too much upset to like shift someone out and then bring someone new in.
They don't seem like as positive as they were last year, so I don't think he should be there anymore now.
As in, like, he doesn't want the wins as much as I think he should be expected from a coach of his calibre.
Do you think the players have turned against him, like what happened at Chelsea?
His fights with Pogba and other players.
I just don't think they like the way he plays football, sort of thing, and they're different compared to him, sort of thing. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it because I think they're still pushing for like a victory and everything.
So I kind of feel like some of the players need to have a look at themselves. They get paid a lot of money, and he's invested a lot of faith in them, and I don't think they've really repaid it. I love the way he plays as well. People going about his negative tactics. I do. I'm all about that kind of style of football.
He used to smile at Chelsea, didn't he? But he doesn't really smile anymore.
I had to stay because he did well last season, but I wanted to change because we lost to Brighton.
They probably don't work with his philosophies anymore, so it was probably as a result of him as well as the players. But
I said I'm a West Brom fan. Last season, we won our first 2 games of the season. We beat Bournemouth and then we beat Burnley. We finished bottom of the league. So don't start going over the top after 2. It's 2 matches. Keep the faith.
I think you should stick with him for a bit longer. 2 games in the season's a bit early, isn't it?
If he does leave, if he's sacked, who could replace him at Man United?
Exactly.
Big shoes to fill.
Who can replace Jose Mourinho? It's not the best.
Zidane. Yeah, I think Zidane.
Darren Moore?
No, we're keeping Darren Moore. Don't put ideas. Darren Moore is our man.
Rumours of Zidane. Would you be happy with that?
No, I think we should get Pellegrini. Yeah.
Somebody like Sam Allardyce, he hasn't got a job. What are you laughing at?
Our first W of this week is, of course, Manchester City, who thrashed the Terriers 6-1, dispatched of Huddersfield, leaving out players like Raheem Sterling, Leroy Sané, Riyad Mahrez and Kyle Walker in the process. But prior to kick-off, things looked relatively positive for Huddersfield, as City had actually scored in 17 of their last 18 Premier League games. That's 47 goals in total, only failing against the Terriers back in May. But it's safe to say that was not the case here, and Pep's men ran freaking riot with 77% possession, 32 shots.
Wow.
14 of them were on target. Ben Hamer had a very difficult day at the office, didn't they? Weird that he's picking him over Lössl. Is it Lössl? Probably. In fact, Manchester City in this game alone already managed more than 21% of Swansea City's entire total for shots on target over the entirety of last season.
It's ridiculous.
Absolutely frivolous. Everyone was getting involved with the goals, weren't they, and the assists. Even Edison managed to get an assist after kicking A goal kick, 84 yards to Aguero.
84
with
yards.
pinpoint accuracy. He's now got more assists than Ozil, Pogba and Eriksen combined. But the star of the show, other than Benjamin Mendy, was Sergio Aguero. 9 shots, 4 on target, hit the post and scored 3 goals. And his form at the Etihad is absolutely frightening, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, he's got 13 goals in his last 8 home games. He is on fire. Obviously, sorted his knee problem out that he claims has been problematic for the last 5 years over the summer. So he looks hot. He's now scored 9 Premier League hat-tricks. That's the same as Robbie Fowler. Only Alan Shearer has got more. I was thinking on the weekend, I actually think Aguero is the 3rd best striker in Premier League history now.
After who?
Henry and Shearer.
Shearer, okay.
I just think his consistent goal scoring puts him right up there. What a player, and what a player David Silva is as well, because he got his 250th appearance for City on the weekend, of course, bringing his son out before and after the game. What a gesture that was, and he was insane. Obviously scored a free kick, a brilliant one as well, but he also created 6 chances in just 64 minutes. That is unbelievable. Quick shout out to your man as well, you mentioned him there, Benjamin Mendy, another brilliant performance. If he keeps going at this rate, he's going to be unbelievable this season. Basically, by himself around that left-hand channel.
Big fan of what City are doing in deploying absolutely no right back. Obviously, when they defend, it goes to a back 4, but when they're attacking, Benjamin Mendy pretty much has free rein down that left-hand side and licence to drift inside as well. He almost becomes like a false number 10 at times. It's ridiculous, but yeah. He looks banging form, doesn't he?
He's just so hard to stop. He put 12 crosses in yesterday. I think that's the most of any player in the Pep Guardiola era. And he was unlucky not to get 2 or 3 assists, to be quite frank. A few of them kind of bobbled and got, it was like an assist of an assist, effectively. Great performance by Benjamin Mendy. Brilliant performance by Manchester City and Sergio Aguero. They play Wolves, I believe, on Saturday. So that should be a bit of a fun game as well. But they just look unstoppable. Such a deep squad. Hell City, what a performance.
Our first losers this week are Unai Emery's Arsenal, who lost the London derby to Maurizio Sarri's Chelsea 3-2 in a closely fought encounter, one that was full of attacking football and also terrible defending. Now, I'll keep my section relatively brief because I was in the Football Social watching Tottenham versus Fulham. That's our new weekend show. If you haven't checked that out, guys, please go and do so. But I think Arsenal, from what I gathered from Twitter, from the highlights, from speaking to these guys, they'll be left ruining the chances they passed up early in this game. Now, Aubameyang missed from 6 yards. Mkhitaryan passed up a really good chance. And as a result, Unai Emery becomes the first Arsenal manager to lose his first 2 games in charge since Steve Burtonshaw, who I'm pretty sure was made up just for this script. He lost his first 3 games apparently in charge as a caretaker in March, April 1986. Now, Chelsea's expected goals was only 1.6, so they scored a very good calibre of goal, maybe a little bit not fortunate to get 3 because they did have a lot of shots on target. You're going to talk about that later. But preventable goals, I would say. The ball over the top for Morata's goal was pretty much defending 1-0-1, but I believe you're going to go into that in a little bit more detail, so I'll leave that to you. But maybe this result was to be expected to an extent because the last time Arsenal won at Stamford Bridge was in October 2011 when Van Persie scored a hat-trick. And this was easily their best chance to make amends for that terrible stat, but passed it up, and Arsenal a lot of work to do in their back line.
Big work for Unai Emery to do. We kind of thought when the season started that he was going to bring a newfound structure to that Arsenal backline, but it seems like anything but right now. Chelsea had 24 shots in this game, 11 on target. They had 63% possession. They were fully dominant in this game, Chelsea. But like you said, Arsenal on the counter at times created some brilliant openings, especially Mkhitaryan. I thought Mkhitaryan was awful on the day. He had some great chances. He should have scored way more than the one he got. But like you said, at the back for Arsenal, Socrates and Mustafi are a pair of clowns. They're all over the shop at the back. There's no cohesion between those two. The fullbacks are all over the gaff. The defensive line was it was about 20 yards too high on the weekend. The amount of balls that got in behind them was ridiculous. And the recovery runs from those defenders to get back to the balls over the top were even worse. There was one ball that was hit and Marcos Alonso kept it on the byline about 85 minutes in. And Bellerin was nowhere to be seen. Nowhere. He was jogging back, jaunting back. The same thing happened when Lacazette gave the ball away for the Marcos Alonso goal. The tackles from Lucas Torreira and Lacazette were a disgrace. The ball in, he's got 4 yards of space and he's 6 yards out, Marcos Alonso. He's tapping it into an open net effectively. The defending under Unai Emery has been nothing short of a show so far this season, and I thought he'd bring more structure to that back line. But he hasn't. He's actually made them worse.
I don't know about worse. Probably a work in progress.
On the weekend, they're an absolute mess. But what I will say is, this does highlight how awful their summer was defensively. Why did they not bring in a better calibre of centre-back than Socrates? And this is coming from a Man United fan, because our defence is a show.
Bring back Callum Chambers.
Bring back Bastian Squillaci, mate. Anything's an improvement on these players.
Our final winners come from @Mehel1998, and it's the Hornets, Watford, who maintain their 100% start to the season with a 3-1 away win at Turf Moor, despite being strong relegation candidates in our opinion. Now, Watford have won their opening 2 matches in a top flight season for only the 2nd time. The previous occasion was 1982 to 1983, spending an awful lot of time in the 80s on this episode. They ended 2nd in the league that year behind Liverpool.
Can they repeat it this year?
Probably not going to happen this year, is it? Deeney grabbed an assist before getting on the end of a glorious Doucouré ball. If you haven't seen that, go and check it out on Twitter and put him in your fantasy team, because I believe he's fantastic value. Go and check out the 12th man if you want to know more about fantasy football. Now, Will Hughes wrapped things up with a screamer. It's the first time 3 different Englishmen have scored in the same match for Watford since 2011 as well. Brexit 1-0-1. Joe, Burnley did dominate proceedings though, didn't they? But largely ineffective.
Yeah, they dominated the ball, but didn't really create much at all. I think XG had it at 0.65 to 1.7, something like that. So Watford, well deserved of their win. They had 6 shots to Burnley's 3 as well. And I'm a little bit worried for Burnley this season. We kind of said it, I think, on a Sunday Vibes a couple of weeks ago, that they could be surprise relegation candidates, particularly with that Europa League hangover, and it doesn't get any easier for them. I think they've got Olympiacos away, then they've got Fulham, then they've got... No, sorry, Olympiacos at home, then Fulham, then they go to Greece, then they play Man United. That is really tough fixtures for Sean Dyche's men. And it's not like he's got an incredibly deep squad to battle on multiple fronts. I think they're really going to struggle this season.
No, and they only added was it Gibson and Hart to their squad in the summer. So, like you say, not really made kind of provisions for a long, deep run in the Europa.
No, I kind of can see Burnley 15th and downwards this season. I'm a bit nervous about Sean Dyche's men. He should have enough to keep them up, but it's not going to be a big season like it was last year for the Claras.
Our last losers, and rounding off the show this week, are West Ham, who were dealt a hammer blow by Bournemouth, beating them 2-1 at home, leaving the Irons 2nd bottom in the table. And maybe, just maybe, given history, we could have predicted this result, as in the 7 matches between these 2 clubs, the team that have scored first have only won twice. What that says to me is that these are all always closely fought encounters, because there's not that much difference between the sides, which is rather alarming this time round, more so than any other, as West Ham spent 100 million this summer. Now, this loss means that West Ham have now lost more games at the London Stadium than they've won, so their home woes continue. Now, Pellegrini, like I said, spent an awful lot of money this summer, signing 9 players, but his side have now played 2, lost 2, only scored once, and have conceded 6, leaving his side around the bottom of the table, which is not the start he would have wanted to get off on. Now, the Liverpool result, okay, we can forgive them for that, but Bournemouth at home, to make any sort of progression as a club, they need to be putting the cherries away. And of those new 9 players that he signed, only 4 started: Fabianski, Wilshere, Balbuena and Anderson, whilst £22 million Issa Diop continues to be left on the bench along with Andriy Yarmolenko. So are they bedding in as quickly as Pellegrini would have wanted? Doesn't really bode that well, does it? West Ham, things just weren't going their way on the day despite opening proceedings, and Bournemouth deserved to win. Again, more shambolic defending. Yeah, more shambolic defending. It was the story of the weekend, really, across the Premier League. But this was quite an even game. West Ham dominated the ball. Both sides had 5 shots on target.
However, let's not forget West Ham's goal, their only one of the season so far, was that Arnautovic penalty, and they are extremely reliant on the Austrian as well. He's been directly involved in 8 of West Ham's last 12 Premier League goals, so you take him out and you start to get really worried. A big result for Bournemouth though. Congratulations to Eddie Howe. This was a great win. They are the comeback specialists, aren't they? They've taken 19 points from comeback situations since joining the Premier League. That's 7 more than any other side. So he's got something of a knack of coming back against other teams. Callum Wilson, what a performance this was from him as well. Great goal. If you haven't seen it already, go and check it out. It's like a budget Thierry Henry. But he also had a couple of other gilt-edged chances he missed. One was a really good Fabianski save, to be totally honest. And then the winner obviously came from Steve Cook from a corner. I think it was 2 goals in 6 minutes, something like that. So just a sloppy period for West Ham, and it came to bite them big time. Eddie Howe must be delighted. Pellegrini must be devastated, because I'm sure West Ham fans would have wanted a hell of a lot more from their start to the season. They were talking up, hopefully challenging top 6, maybe even getting top 8. So I'm sure he's disappointed. But for me, I'm shocked by Bournemouth. I had Bournemouth down as a potential relegation candidate going into the season. And judging on their first 2 performances, they've really surprised me. They've been superb.
I think they still are, in my opinion. Them, Watford, just as well they got off to a good start, because I think they're in a group of 4 or 5 teams who could join Cardiff and Huddersfield.
Yeah, Cardiff are horrendous.
So,
Horrendous.
who do you think is going to go down, guys? Let us know in the comments below. That is the end of the show. If you enjoyed this, please go and watch Stat Wars, the Champions Final on Euro Football Daily between me and the Cubbin. Joe, anything else on Football Daily you should keep your eyes out for?
Yeah, keep your eyes out for the 12th man coming this week. I believe Statman Dave returns yet again, the legend that is. And yeah, just loads of other great content.
See you soon. Goodbye. Euro Roundup out in an hour.